was secretary, we established a multi-agency task force to address drug trafficking and Indian human trafficking. It was comprised of elements from your department, BLM, U.S. Park Service, U.S. Park Police, FBI, BIA, and the idea was to augment and supplement in coordination with the tribes. The tribes requested it. We provided the service in coordination with the tribes to go after exactly what we talked about: drugs, human trafficking, where are the kids going? So when you took office, you discontinued that, even though it was incredibly successful in the numbers and the amount of fentanyl and drugs confiscated is not in dispute. Why?
Congressman, I appreciate the question, and I recognize that perhaps we have different leadership styles. I appreciate your service to our country as the Secretary of the Interior.
Because it was a Trump administration? Because almost everything the Trump administration did, you immediately ended, whether it was good or bad or indifferent.
That's
So
not
why?
altogether true, honestly. That's not true.
Were you aware you discontinued this?
However, we are...
Madam Secretary, were you aware that the task force was discontinued when you took office?
I was not aware of the task force, your task force, Congressman. However, we are working very hard to ensure that we are providing the necessary services to Indian country.
Would you agree that perhaps a task force that had the FBI, BIA, BLM, U.S. Park Service
I really appreciate
together,
that.
would you agree that such a task force would be helpful to Indian nations?
Congressman, would you like us to contact your office and
I'm just
have
asking
a
you, do you think it would be
conversation about
helpful?
this?
Yeah, you can't answer whether a task force with multiple law enforcement agencies in coordination with Indian country wouldn't be helpful in addressing some of the issue about drug trafficking, child trafficking, indigenous personnel missing or killed.
I truly do appreciate that suggestion, Congressman, and we appreciate it.
Well, let me, first of all, the science is the same in Maine as it is in Montana, and I follow the science. I always have. So sometimes you look at it, and the science, for those that have read the 2017 Multi-Agency Department of Interior Climate Change Report, there's 200 models, 1,000 variables. So some people that don't look at science manipulate those variables for an outcome. That's not science. The science will say in Glacier Park, which the glaciers are melting, absolutely. I've been on the glaciers, eating lunch. I've witnessed the recede of the glacier. It started 10,000 years ago. Sea level rise has been the same for about 7,000 years, more or less. Hurricanes, the frequency. Madam Secretary, are you aware that the frequencies of hurricanes has neither increased nor decreased in frequency and number of times in the last 400 years?
Every time a hurricane happens,
Are you aware that the frequency has gone up or down, or do you believe it has? I'm just curious.
I believe that the storms have gotten more intense, stronger storms than
I will give you
they
that
were
data, and it's
before.
science. So do I agree that erosion and tides have an enormous effect on Maine and its beautiful coastline? Absolutely. Do I think that our older buildings are at risk? Because it is changing. And should we address them? Yeah, because there's buildings and structures that are absolutely worth saving in this country, and tradition is part of it. So I'll work with you, but science is science, and science is the same in the great state of Maine as in Montana. So with that, thank you, Madam Secretary, and if you would, I am going to scrutinize your legal department to see where you're spending. I think having to get a Major League Baseball team at $500,000 to spend money over a logo that has twice been ruled by the governing authority not to be a logo infringement, I think is atrocious. And unless I was sitting here, I don't think you would know it. And that's a mistake of us all. So, Madam, do you have anything further?
No, thank you.
But thank you for appearing.
Thank you.
Thank you for all taking the time to join us this morning. We look forward to being with you over the coming months. Questions have been no doubt delivered, and we would appreciate an answer in a timely fashion. This committee stands adjourned. Good to see you, Denise.